What is up, people? Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another preview here on the Cup Chasers. That's right, the Arsenal going down to the South Coast to face Brighton and Hove Albion at the Amex Stadium. Of course, it's going to be a tough one. Going to be a big one. Going to be very, very important. Of course, they're all very, very important at this juncture of the season. That's right, people. We have to win. Have to win. And I'm very confident just based on the way Brighton play football, the way we play football, the way we're doing things at the moment. I'm very, very excited about this one. But of course, we have to be alert. We have to be ready for it. We have to keep the momentum going. So go ahead and smash up those likes for an Arsenal victory at the Amex Stadium. Go ahead and hype it up if you got any of those hype points left. And it would be an honor, an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the community. If you are new, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It means a whole lot to me. It means a whole lot to the channel as we are one away from the big 250. And we're on our way, of course, to that 500 mark, trying to get there as quickly as possible. So it would absolutely be an honor and a pleasure to welcome you to the community. And of course, I want to know what you're thinking down in that comments section below. Does the former Gunner, Mr. Danny Welbeck, have a little something for us? Or are we going to be able to pull it out at the Amex Stadium and get the 3 points, the much needed 3 points, of course? So the first thing that I think it's important to look at, of course, is the head-to-head stuff. If I could get my computer to load here, because last season we did not win this game. It was a draw for us. If I recall, it was like the third game of the season, and we was that the Declan Rice yellow card, red card? I think it might have been, actually. I think it might have been last season. Yeah, January 4th, 2025, December 27th. Maybe that was 2 seasons ago. But anyway, January 4th, 2025, we did draw them last season at the Amex Day. That's the last time we've been there, too. There you go, the 1-1. And we absolutely cannot have a repeat of that. We have played them this season twice. And at home, we got the victory. Definitely important. In the League Cup, we also beat them as well. So it's very we kind of have the number. We know what to expect, and we know what we will be facing. Of course, Brighton love to play out from the back, almost to a fault, some might say. And so we know that the high press is on. The high press is what we're looking to go for with this one, but they're very good at it. They are very, very good at it. So we're going to have to be very much on top of it as far as making sure we're very disciplined in that high press. And that's what I want to see. I called for it against Chelsea, and we saw it a whole bunch in at least in that first half, where we completely dominated the tactical battle there in that first half, making Sanchez hit it long over and over and over again. And I highly suspect that Hertzler is going to have something ready, something prepared. He's going to have studied the way we press high, because they to a fault love to play out from the back, and I think this suits us really well. But we have to be locked in to the way we're going to press this team. What's up, Lumen? Big up to you for being here every single time. I do appreciate that. I hope you're well. I absolutely hope you're well, of course. And I think that, yes, this game suits us because of the way that Brighton like to play. But like I say, they're gonna concoct something. They're gonna cook something up. One of their favorite moves in build-up is to bring somebody in while there is an attacker right in front of the goalkeeper, just to the left of them and have them play it and then play it behind the defender to the opposite side of the press. That's a very, very common thing in a lot of teams build up. And Arsenal have done very well at times to keep teams from doing that just by following your man. You got to be on his back, follow the man, on his touch. And I think a couple of times we've done really well, whether it's Gyökeres, whether it's Havertz, or whoever's pressing highest up the field, Odegaard or Eze. We've done a really good job of being cognizant of that. So when they play that pass, a couple of steps backwards can just sometimes, close that channel down. And we're going to have to concentrate on that a lot. I think if we can force Brighton to hit the ball long. What's up, Snap Meme? How you doing? Hope you're well. Thanks for being here, of course. If we can make them hit the ball long and get them out of what they like to do, I think we can have a whole bunch of success in this game. Of course, they do have some danger men. Karu Matoma's getting back into fitness, so I expect him to start. It'll probably be Kadioglu on the other side running those channels, and so it's going to be very, very important. Obviously, if the whole goal is to make them hit it long, it's going to be so important to win those second ball situations, the 50-50 situations. And, I don't necessarily like creating them the other way, but that is the bread and butter of what we do. And Brighton are going to try to avoid that. Because they, of course, are very good at passing through the lines, very confident in passing through the lines. And so when they can break our line and get us running back at our own goal, they're very, very dangerous. That's kind of the best thing that Brighton is accomplished at. And so Declan Rice is going to be huge in this one. There are a lot of people calling for Zubamendi to get a rest, and perhaps we play Norgard in this one. It'll be very interesting to see if Mikel Arteta does that. I don't necessarily think it has to be done, seeing as how we got Mansfield Town at the weekend. I know we're not overlooking it, but it is an opportunity to rotate. So I might be a little bit surprised if we don't see our regular Declan Rice, Martin Zubamendi combo, just because they will have an opportunity to rest at the weekend. And this is an absolutely phenomenally important game. Of course, one of our last 9 cup finals here to win the league. So given that we haven't seen Norgard start in a Premier League game, we haven't seen him get a ton of Premier League minutes, the people that are calling for him to start this game might be a wee disappointed. I doubt very seriously that we're going to see that, just based on what's gone before. Obviously, Arteta, at the time of this recording, Arteta has not done the presser yet. I think I'm a little bit early on that. So we'll obviously see what's up as far as if there's any fitness issues with Zubamendi or Rice. They both were absolutely shattered at the end of the last game. So that's why there's noise in the Twitter sphere, on Instagram, on socials about perhaps one of them getting a rest and Norgard coming in. Honestly, if someone's going to get a rest, I think it should be Zubamendi, because I just don't think that because when Norgard comes in, you saw that Zubamendi was pressed forward to the left 8 position instead of his normal farther back on the right-hand side, which is what Norgard apparently is the only role that Arteta trusts Norgard in, because every time he's come into the game, we have switched to him being farthest back, and we have 2 in front of him, like every single time. And so it changes us up a little bit, and I don't want to see Zuby in that left 8. That's kind of the only thing that I would, kind of go against that for. Because just for the little bit, and I know he was shattered. I know he was very, very tired at the end of the Chelsea game, having to chase Enzo Fernandez all over the pitch to keep him locked down. And he did a fantastic job of that, but of course it tired him out. And so when he did move into that left 8 position, I was unimpressed. We weren't winning second balls at the end of that game. Kai wasn't necessarily doing good with the knockdowns, and so it looked off. It didn't look like what I really wanted to see, as far as continuity in the midfield when we do make the substitutions and switch it up. So I want to see our normal duo in the midfield, and I also expect to see the normal duo in the midfield. But yeah, as far as tactically, I think it's more of the same. Just more of the same for the Gunners. High press, make them make the mistake. Like we've been saying, they love to play it around in the back to bring the whole formation back so that they can, as a formation, as a group, go forward, and get into the spaces on the wings. So I think we definitely have to make sure we are marking up, staying with the runner, staying with our man in the press, and they'll probably break it a couple times. They probably will. Brighton are a very good side, and they're very confident. So, don't be surprised if they do break the lines a couple of times and get through and have us running at our own goal. And so that is the biggest reason why we have to have Declan Rice. Like, Declan Rice, our best transitional defender, he has to play this game. I get it. Everybody's tired. I get it. We've been working hard all season, and we've been doing amazing all season. And so, we got to close it out, though. So we have to have Declan Rice in this game. If anyone's going to get a rest in that midfield, it should be Zubamendi and not Declan. But like I say, I don't think that we should rest either of them. Maybe bring Norgard in, in the 70th or something if they're just too gassed. But I think that the transitional defending and winning second balls is where we're going to win this game. Is where this game will be won and lost. If we don't defend well against the second balls, like if we don't win second balls and they win high up the pitch, lots of 50-50 duels, we're going to be defending a lot. We're going to be running back at our own goal a lot. The likes of Matoma and Kadioglu, they don't mess around. There's, it's not, yes, Brighton like to possess and play through the lines out from the back, but they're not the best in the world once they gain half the pitch and we're set back in our defense. They're not amazing at breaking teams down in that way. They're far, far more effective when they break the press and can come forward very, very quickly with pace, with the likes of Matoma, of course, in there. Pascal Gross will probably be playing in this one. And that's another thing. When they do get forward and we are set in our defense, they like to spam crosses. Pascal Gross has got an absolutely dirty left foot, so he's a very good, very accurate, very precise with his crossing, and we cannot let any crosses in. If you go back through and look at the goals we concede this season, it's like all crosses. It's like all when the ball gets into the mixer and there's chaos in the box. That's how we conceded. That's how we conceded versus Chelsea. What was the goal before that? What was the goal before that? Let me look and see if I can remember it. Tottenham. How did we concede against Tottenham? We gave the ball away. That one was dumb. But Wolves, yep. Cross into the box. Raya punches Big Gab in the back of the head. Goal. Brighton. Chaos in the box. Not marking up. Goal. So it's very easy to identify where we really, really struggle. Running with our back to goal. Running towards our own goal, which is Brighton want to do that as often as possible, and crossing. And it's interesting that we say that. We're so good at defending crosses. Big Gab and Saliba are huge in there, heading the ball away. But conversely, that's where we have conceded most often this season, is when there's chaos in the box. And most of the time, letting in crosses is what causes chaos in the box. And so our outside backs, Hincapié and Timber, who is who I want to see. They are going to have to be very, very alert when we are back in our shape and we are defending deeper, spells of possession that Brighton will most certainly have. And can't let crosses in, and we have to make sure we're sound in transition. And honestly, had it my way, we wouldn't give up any of those transitional moments, but of course, nothing's perfect. And no game ever goes, 150% to the game plan. I thought that we were fantastic in the first half against Chelsea. We executed the game plan to a T. Obviously, giving up a goal is not what you want. But we executed the game plan in that first half to a T, pressed them high, made them hit it long, gave Robert Sanchez all kinds of headaches. We're winning the ball high. I think we need to do a lot of the same in this game versus Brighton, but they will get chances. I mean, in this run-in, I would love to just be 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0 for the last 9 games. I would love that. But just like Anton over on Fire Them Cannons says, make sure you're locked in at Fire Them Cannons. People, go over there and subscribe for Anton. He's doing a lot of good work over there. Make sure you're locked in over there. But just like he was saying, buckle up, people. Strap in, friends and neighbors, because I don't think we're going to see another blinding, this team was shit 4-0 performance unless it's at the end of the season and whoever has already survived relegation and they're not going to make Europe. The teams at the very end of the season that have nothing to play for and they're already on the beach, like Fulham were flying kites a couple of seasons ago before they played Man City. While Man City were still in the run-in, Fulham had nothing to play for. They were flying kites and they took a 4-0 loss. It was I was very upset with that a couple of seasons ago. Of course, they didn't give my opponents any kind of anything, and so that I think would be the only scenario towards the end of the season where we're going to demolish a team in this run-in. As it stands right now, where we're at in the season right now, ain't nobody we're not wrecking anybody. That's just, I've kind of resigned myself to that. I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that there's going to be nerves. There's going to be spells in the game where we're not on top, where we're having to defend, where we're having to work really, really hard. And I think that at the moment we're just getting through it. We're just kind of getting through those kinds of moments. We weathered a 20-minute storm versus Chelsea, 45, actually from the Reece James goal to the 67th minute. From Reece James's goal to Urian Timber's goal, we were up against it, backs to the wall, weathering a storm for sure. There are going to be periods in every game we play for the rest of the season that's going to be like that, and so we just got to be ready for that. Have to be able to, weather those moments, and we need our big men to step up. We need those in the so-called, the captain's group or whatever to step up. We need Rice to be big. We need Big Gabriel, of course, to be so big in those moments. And I got to shout out my man, David Raya. What a performance. Man of the match versus Chelsea. Dude, last time we played Brighton, he got probably the save of the season. Contender for save of the season versus Jacobo Mente last time we played Brighton. So, yeah, David Raya has been of massive importance, will continue to be of massive importance in the run-in. And so I definitely need him to be ready. Probably going to have a save or two in this one. As we know, Brighton are very, very good going forward. And Danny Welbeck tends to have something for his old teams. So we'll have to keep a watch out for that. He might not even start, to be honest with you. Danny Welbeck doesn't always start for them, but we might see him at some point. Of course, I do think that we have a very good shot in this game, however. I think that it suits us, and I think that if we play our game and do what we do best, just like I said before the Chelsea game, just like I said before the Tottenham game, if we can simply press them into mistakes, I mean, it's like food. It's like just on the table. It's just there to be had. You know, this game actually suits us to a T because we are the best pressers in the league. Our press is absolutely elite. The way we follow runners, the way we get into passing lanes before we press the ball causes teams to just knock it long. And that's what we need to do. Bread and butter all day. In that first half versus Chelsea, I was just like, all day long. It's all day long. Keeper hit it long, win the second ball, pin them in. It's all day long. And that's the blueprint. That's the game plan. Honestly, that's kind of the game plan for the rest of the season for like every single team. Because if you look at our best performances, not only in the league, but in the Champions League and the Carabao Cup semifinal first leg versus Chelsea at the Bridge, where we scored 3 goals, it's just high press. It's just pressing to death in people's face for the whole time. Did it to Inter, did it to Bayern. We did it to Paris last season. That's how we beat them in the league phase of the Champions League. And I was very surprised we didn't take that same tactic in the semifinal. But that's when we're at our best. And the way Brighton plays suit that very, very much. And so I am very confident in this one. Obviously, there are nerves and, other intangibles that kind of affect how we play and affect the mentality going into games. But as far as tactically, as far as on paper, we should destroy them. The way, what we're good at can dismantle what they're good at, like really easily. And so I think this definitely suits us. I think we should do very, very well in this game. And we'll get to the lineup. What I want to see, David Raya, of course, that goes without saying. Yeah, he's got to be in there for the rest of the season, obviously. Well, we might see Kepa versus Mansfield Town, of course, but David Raya absolutely has to be in there. For me, Piero Hincapié has taken the shirt. It's his. Even if Calafiori is 100% fit, ready to go, you can't drop Hincapié. He's been amazing. He's been absolutely fantastic. Got himself a goal. Got himself on the score sheet in the last game. Fantastic header to the back post. Well done. But other than that, he was fantastic versus Chelsea. He was fantastic in the game before that too, versus Tottenham. And so very much Piero Hincapié is the left back starter for the rest of the season. Not that I'm like, I think Calafiori is like horrible because of that or whatever, but he just can't stay fit. I definitely think, if he can find some health before the end of the season, Calafiori has a role to play still to come in this run-in. But at the moment, Hincapié has the shirt. He's the left back for me. Of course, it's Big Gab and Saliba in the middle. And it's Timber. It's got to be Jurriën Timber, even if Ben White is healthy. Definitely happy if Ben White is healthy, for him to be on the bench and a good player to come in and help out, at the end of the game. But I think Timber has been very good in the last couple of games. He looked kind of tired a few games back, but I think the week-long rest has done him a world of good in between Tottenham and Chelsea. And so I thought he looked very good versus Chelsea. Of course, got the winner. And so we'll definitely see him at right back. For me, yeah, like I said, it's got to be Rice and Zubimendi in the middle due to the fact that we will be able to rest versus Mansfield at the weekend. Of course, the draws have been absolutely glorious, have been so generous to us. And so we need to take full advantage. That's why I think we need to play our strongest midfield here, and we can rotate at the weekend. Now, I'm not sure about the fitness of Martin Odegaard. So in fact, you know what? Let's look that up right now. Let's see what it says. Martin Odegaard fitness. Excuse me. So it was the knee injury that ruled him out of the Chelsea match. The same knee injury that had kept him out before, the one I think he got it in the Brentford game. And so will he be there? Honestly, even if Odegaard's there, he shouldn't start. I don't think Odegaard should start, even if he's there. This just the question over his health, the question over his knee. He came in to the Tottenham game. He maybe even did his knee again that day because we haven't heard. He was kind of. He was kind of a ghost in there for those 10, 15 minutes, and maybe his knee's just not ready. And if he's not 150% ready to go, then the bench is fine. But I don't want him to start. I think Eze in there is, continuity's sake. I think he's certainly on the ball. He's absolutely doing well. I love the turns in the midfield that we saw a couple times versus Chelsea, some vertical passing. I think he needs to get more involved when he's in the 10. I think he needs to come back and get the ball a little bit more sometimes and help with the help us break out of the press. But obviously with Victor Gyökeres up top, we've been a little bit more willing to hit it long at times when the press is high and Raya just wants to get rid. Of course, he targets Gyökeres with those get rid passes, but I think that in such moments, if Eze can get closer to Gyökeres and, be a good option for that second ball, for the knockdown, I think he can even improve on some of his performances as well in that 10 role. Victor Gyökeres has to be starting for me up top every single game. Maybe not Mansfield, of course, but he can get some rest there. But every single game for the rest of the season, Gyökeres is the number 9 up top for me in that spot. And his touch, his hold-up play has been so improved from the beginning of the season. People were calling him clunky. People were calling him slow. People were calling him, he's wearing Timberland boots. He's got cement blocks on his feet. He's a caravan, etc. All this bullshit that people have been saying. Well, you can't say that anymore. You can't say any of that anymore. He's running the channels. He's holding the ball up. He's knocking it down. And it's not just a header into nothing. He's looking for somebody to knock it down to. And because of that success, because he's been playing so much better, doing these things, we're doing that more. We're hitting it towards him more. Raya's trying to find him more and more and more. And while that's not necessarily my favorite thing that we, hit the ball long, when it's necessary, I'm fine with it. When he's, if he's bringing it down and finding a player, hey, I'll take the 70-yard gain right out the rip. I'll take that. And then we have a short field. I know I'm starting to sound a little bit like an NFL, short fields and big gains or whatever. But the territory, is very important, especially if Brighton are gonna press really, really high. And so if we take the opportunity to hit it to Victor while Brighton are pressing really, really high, that creates not only a short field, but against fewer defenders. And so we're going to have to play quick in those transition moments. Whether we win the second ball off of our long kick or we win the second ball off of Verbruggen's long kick, we have to play quick in transition. When we do win the ball high up the pitch, we 1-2 touch stuff is what I want to see. Eze is pretty good at that at times, and I think this game will suit Gabriel Martinelli. For me, it's time to Trossard's decision-making in recent time has really let me down. I thought he was probably one of the poorest players on the pitch versus Chelsea. He defended well. Obviously, he does the defensive work really, really well. But so does Martinelli. Martinelli gets up and back, of course. And I think this game will 100% suit Martinelli. And so I want to see him start over Trossard in this one. There will be space as Brighton look to press. And so I think that this one suits Martinelli. And I think he, get him a run. Get him a run. He's been very good in the Champions League league phase. And so I think if we can get him going and playing well, he'll probably be seeing some minutes in the round of 16, of course, for the Champions League as well. So I want to see Gabriel Martinelli. And of course, it's Bukayo Saka out on the right wing. Who else, baby? I mean, he'll be wearing the armband. And I think it's important to note that on a Premier League side, especially the stature and prestige of a club like Arsenal, wearing the armband has a weight to it. I think that's one thing that people have not necessarily mentioned when discussing Odegaard and his form, and there's a weight to the armband, and I think Bukayo Saka has worn it well. You can tell he doesn't scream at people. He's not like a Tony Adams kind of Nemanja Vidic, Rio Ferdinand type captain who's going to scream at you. That's Gabriel. That's Big Gab. That's Declan Rice. Bukayo Saka is more of a silent leader, and we're looking to him. He's the X factor. We're looking to him. I need a goal in this game from B. I really do. I need him to. I thought he played well against Chelsea. Absolutely did. And he's doing exactly what we need him to do in this game as well. Get to the byline, beat your man, get to the byline, and I need the end product to be a little bit better than it was versus Chelsea. He had Hato on toast as far as getting to the byline, but some of the balls were not necessarily the best. I think he needs a little bit more angle on the cutback and a little bit more power if you're going to go low and hard towards the goalkeeper and hit it right across the face of the goal. Just smash it at Verbruggen, and who knows? It's chaos. It's chaos in there. You could go anywhere. And so just a little bit more end product once you beat your man is all we need from Bukayo Saka. I would love a goal for Bukayo Saka. I would absolutely love him to get on the score sheet, and I think that I definitely think he'll have every opportunity to do so. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think if we, like I say, do what we do well and press them to death, force long balls, win second balls, and play quick in transition, I think we'll decimate them. We have every... on paper, and it looks, the way this game should sort itself out, the way this game should go, we should absolutely wreck them. And I'm not saying we will, just like I said against Chelsea, I'm not saying we will, I'm saying we should. And every time we should have wrecked somebody, we don't necessarily destroy them, except for Spurs. That's the game I knew we were going to wreck them. I knew for a fact we would decimate Spurs. It was one of those, we play like we play what I knew we were going to wreck them anyway. Chelsea was a different prospect, and Brighton are going to be another a different prospect as well. They are going to be up for it. They're just on the verge, just on the brink there of kind of, sinking a little bit into the bottom half of the table. The win versus Forest was actually really big for Brighton. You wouldn't really think it with the likes of Palace and Spurs and Forest and West Ham and Leeds all below them, but a couple of losses, and if they would have lost to Forest, if Forest would have beat Brighton, that would have been massive, not only for Forest, but it would have dragged Brighton back. And so I think that win for Brighton was it was almost of like a we just secured safety kind of win, because even in Anton's tears over on Fire Them Cannons, they were teetering. Make sure you're locked into Fire Them Cannons over there, of course, every single time. Make sure you subscribe it over there as well. But Brighton were kind of on the brink a little bit, and now and I think that that win versus Forest was huge for them, and so they'll be full of confidence coming into this one. And not as much fear, not as much pressure if they would have lost that game to Forest. So I think they're in a good place. And so they'll be up for this one. They'll absolutely be up for this one. But like I said, I think if we do what we do best, I think we can beat them 3-0. I absolutely can see us dominating this game, dominating possession, and dunking on them, scoring 2 or 3 goals. and getting a shutout. That's what I want to see. Heart says 4-0. Head says, yeah, we might be in for some squeaky bum again for a little 2-1. Of course, I want 5-0s across the board every single game, but of course, I don't get that. And like I've said, and like others have said, this title race ain't gonna be. It's gonna be a squeaky bum in every game. It's gonna be nerves. It's gonna be, there will be times where we're up against it, like we were versus Chelsea. They were very much on top for 20 minutes of that game. I expect Brighton will have a spell in this game as well that we're gonna have to weather, a storm we're gonna have to get through. And I think we will. I think we will do that just fine. And so Heart says 4-0. Head says probably a 2-1. Of course, both teams to score is on in almost every game that Brighton play. And so I think that we would do very well to end that streak for them, of course. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a tough match. I'm going to be a little bit nervous, but I'm very, very excited for it. And I hope you are as well. And I absolutely thank you for being here. So if you would go ahead and smash up those likes on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would be an absolute honor and a pleasure to welcome you to the community, to the channel. Hype it up if you got any of those points left. And of course, make sure you got that notification bell on. We will be back later on today. I haven't even looked at the schedule, so I'm doing a watch along. I am doing a watch along. Not sure for who yet. So it will, that'll be up soon right after this. I'm going to go work all that out and get it scheduled and all that. So make sure you got the notification bell on so you know when we're live each and every single time. I appreciate everyone who's been here. Thanks again, and you will see me next time.